Welcome to the TOEFL Listening section. In this section, you will listen to an academic lecture and then answer questions about what you heard. You may take notes while you listen. You will have time to review your notes before answering the questions. Listen to part of a lecture in a university class. You will hear the lecture only once, so listen carefully. After the lecture, you will answer some questions about what you heard. Some questions ask about the main ideas and supporting details. Other questions ask you to make inferences or connections between ideas. Answer each question based on what is stated or implied in the lecture.
Good morning. Today I will examine the influence of Norse mythology on modern literature and culture. We will consider textual borrowing, visual iconography, performative adaptations, and the more fraught political uses of Norse material in the modern era. To begin, I use the term Norse mythology to mean the corpus of myths preserved in medieval Scandinavian sources, such as the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda. Scholars describe these as Eddic and Skaldic traditions. These texts provide characters and motifs like Odin, Thor, Loki, Yggdrasil the World Tree, and the eschatological event Ragnarok. One major channel of influence is high literature. Consider J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien drew on Old Norse language and mythic names. Famously, he took a list of dwarf names from the V. Olisp A and used Old Norse vocabulary in constructing his legendarium. Tolkien published The Hobbit in 1937 and The Lord of the Rings in the 1950s, and thus passed Norse motifs into global fantasy literature. Richard Wagner presents an earlier example in the 19th century. Wagner composed the Ring cycle between 1848 and 1874. He fused Germanic and Norse material into 19th century opera. That work helped make these myths central to national romantic movements in Europe. In the 20th and 21st centuries, Norse mythology moves into popular media. Marvel Comics introduced Thor as a superhero in 1962, and the Marvel Thor films since 2011 have global reach. Video games like God of War in 2018 and Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 2020 retell or remix Norse narratives. These examples show how mythic figures are repurposed for entertainment. Neil Gaiman offers a different model. His 2017 book, Norse Mythology, retells many of the original tales in a literary register and draws attention to the underlying narrative structures and themes. Gaiman's work demonstrates how retelling can be scholarly and creative at once. Beyond texts and media, Norse motifs appear across modern culture. Days of the week preserve god names. Thursday literally means Thor's Day. Wednesday derives from Woden's Day, a legacy of Odin. Place names and family names in Scandinavia and the British Isles reflect old theonyms. Symbolically, the image of Yggdrasil the World Tree functions as an organizing cosmology in modern fantasy world building. Runes appear in signage, branding, and decorative art. Musicians, particularly in the metal genre, use saga imagery and Old Norse language to construct authenticity. The Swedish band Amon Amarth, formed in 1992, provides a clear case of direct mythic reference in lyrics and iconography. There are also civic and political uses of Norse myth. In the 19th century, national romantic scholars used myth to build national identity. More recently, extremist groups have appropriated Norse symbols. This appropriation is a distortion of the historical record and has prompted scholars and cultural practitioners to reclaim Norse material in ethically informed ways. Methodologically, I want you to see three patterns. First, Direct textual borrowing, where modern authors reuse names and motifs. Second, creative reinterpretation, where creators alter characters or plot lines to match contemporary values. Third, symbolic deployment, where myths are used as cultural shorthand in music, tourism, and politics. As a concrete case study, consider the figure of Loki. In the medieval sources, Loki is a complex trickster whose behavior varies across poems. Marvel's Loki becomes a recurring antagonist and then an anti-hero. That shift illustrates creative reinterpretation. It also shows how modern narratives favor character arcs that fit serialized storytelling. Another case study is the transposition of Ragnarok. Scholars note that Ragnarok's apocalyptic structure has influenced contemporary eschatological fiction. Authors borrow the sense of unavoidable fate and cyclical destruction to comment on climate anxiety and technological collapse. I also emphasize responsibility. When contemporary creators use Norse myths, they can either perpetuate stereotypes or illuminate historical complexity. Academic collaboration with artists and game designers can promote accurate and respectful uses of mythic material. In conclusion, Norse mythology remains a vibrant source for modern literature and culture. From Tolkien's dwarves to popular films and video games, from runic branding to musical performance, these myths are constantly reinterpreted. The study of this influence requires attention to textual evidence, media practices, and ethical concerns about appropriation. For next week, please read the excerpt from the Poetic Edda and a short chapter from Neil Gaiman's retellings. We will compare original motifs with contemporary adaptations and discuss questions of fidelity and transformation.
Listen again to part of a lecture. then answer the question.
When I point to Marvel as Thor in the God of War video game, I am not celebrating accuracy, but illustrating how mythic material is reimagined to serve modern narratives and commercial entertainment.
This concludes the listening section. For more TOEFL practice tests and study materials, visit Spinta.org.